Hey folks, my name is Rene Enriquez and you are watching Uncensored.
This is Rene Enriquez. Nickname Boots. Black Hand of the Mexican Mafia. Prison gang politics.
Hey folks, my name is Rene Enriquez and you are watching Uncensored. Welcome to another humdinger. You know what? I've been doing so many debriefs that I thought about it. Like you guys have never seen my debrief. I've seen it multiple times, right? I did it, right? So I remember it. But I saw that other people had posted it. In fact, they tried to copyright it. They embedded some music in a couple of places and attempted to copyright my own debrief. A debrief I did for CDC, a debrief that I agreed to share intellectual property on. And other people attempted to prevent me from putting it up without commentary because they just put up the debrief, right? And a video up just like that is just a video, right? Without commentary, it's pretty boring. So guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to give you commentary on my own debrief because I've been doing everybody else's and their mothers, right? Why not put up my debrief? It's good for the goose. It's good for the gander, right? Right. So it's Saturday evening. I am chilling, having a couple of IPAs. Yes, I am. Voodoo Ranger. Voodoo Ranger. That's a free endorsement for the company. But believe you me, I don't get stupid when I get drunk. I don't even get drunk. I get buzzed. And I chill. I believe a lot about a man's character is shown in the way he drinks, right? No critique on anybody in particular. I'm just really serious about this, right? I mean, if you can't handle your drink, you shouldn't drink. That's just how I feel, right? But, yeah, I'm enjoying a few cold ones by myself in the office, working on a Saturday for you. For you. That's right. The grind is real. You know, and people think this is easy. It's not. You know, it's a constant 7-day-a-week grind to put out content for you guys, and we truly appreciate that you guys stop by and watch the video. You know, a lot of people are watching it in its entirety, and let me tell you what happens, right? It's called watch time hours, right? And there's a click-through rate. All these things, there's all these analytics and these metrics that they utilize in YouTube to measure the audience's attention span, right? And that it pays you more when the audience watches the video longer. So, you know, it's really about resources. The resources we receive per video. So that's why I encourage everybody to watch the video in its entirety because I get it. I mean, I really get it that not everybody can join and become a member. We have memberships. We have Patreon. We have merch on ReneEnriquez.com where we sell autographed books and mugs and hoodies and all kinds of other stuff, right? There's Buy the Team a Cup of Coffee. There's a bunch of ways to support the channel. But the easiest way for those who are strapped and paying $7 a gallon in California for a gallon of gas, I heard it's like up to $7 now. Thank God I do not live there. You guys got to get rid of your governor, Gavin Newsom. I heard he just imposed a new tax too, secretly. So, you know, I feel for you guys. You know, where I live, it's significantly cheaper. But if I give you the price, you'll know where I'm at. So I'm not going to give you the price. So, for a gallon of gas, that is. But, you know, I get it. It's hard. It's really difficult for everybody out there. So, you know, the easiest way, just watch the video in its entirety. You know, you can skip through the ads. Somebody asked that question in one of the comments. Does that mean we got to watch the ads in their entirety? No, skip the ads. But watch the video in its entirety. Even if you're going to go wash dishes, whatever. You know, take care of the kids, go feed the dogs, go walk them, whatever. Let it run. Let it run. I'm not asking you much. And in return, I kick out content. I kick out content. Because you guys are doing your part. And I appreciate it. We're almost at 50,000 viewers, folks. Almost there. Almost there. 50K. Serious. That's a huge milestone for us. And really, subscribers don't pay the bills. Subscribers don't pay anything. It's just sponsorships. And we don't have one sponsor. We got a lot of offers. We got a lot of offers about, people wanting to sponsor our channel. But my editor said flat out, why do we need them? Why do we need to be holding to sponsors? To include their product and make a 30-second segment about their product. Why do we need to do that? And we don't, because we have you. This is a grassroots effort here. And somebody said today in comments, hey, this is our channel, right? Not yours. It really is your channel. Because without you guys, this channel would not be a success. So I'm saying that right now. So let's get into my debrief, right? Let's get into my debrief. You guys have seen it. A lot of people, I don't even know how they got this, to tell you the truth. Honestly, a lot of my stuff that you've seen on YouTube has been stolen and leaked out by questionable people who thought they can get a buck on it, and they have, really. Because some of these videos have got over 1 million views in the past. But here is the initial debrief that I participated in. But it started March 22nd at 11:20 a.m. in 2002. Let me tell you the story, right? Let me break this down, unpack it a little bit for you. I was housed in Pelican Bay State Prison, right here in this corner, right here. Actually, in this building right here. The yard's out here. I was in this building right here. I was approached to go to medical. I had a righteous medical ducket, right? They call you out. You go out in your boxers and your T-shirt and your tennis shoes and your socks. That's all you wore in Pelican Bay. Even when I next worked at medical and the law library, the only time you wore a jumpsuit is when you went to classification or visit. That's the only time. Or you went outside to this medical facility out here, right? This is the medical facility out here. This is the infirmary, right? This is the shoe major. And these are the general population yards here, right? I was housed here in D7, I think it was. Yeah, D7, I think it was. Or D9. I forget. It's been a long time. Long time ago I was in prison. But I was there. And they called me for a ducat for medical because I was in chronic care because I had hepatitis C, right? So every month you go and see the doctor. So when I get there to the front of the gate, they call you to the front of the gate in your unit. They pop you out. There are 2 cops, regular escort, and they put me in waist chains and leg irons, and we take off to the medical. And all of a sudden, cops start joining our escort. And cops are at every door of every unit, all these units right here. Every time you see a little square sticking out, that's a housing unit, right? Cops are all lined up around here. And I'm tripping out. I tell them, hey, what's going on? And they tell me the secret squirrels want to see you. And secret squirrels to me means SSU, Special Services Unit, IGI, or some law enforcement agency. But we'd speak with them on a normal basis, right? You have to. Like if there's a weenie wagger, like somebody exposing themselves to female staff, or somebody disrespectful to staff, they'll tell us, right? And we deal with it. Like, hey, dude in 109 is, flashing on a female officer. Can you talk to him? And we knew what that meant, right? We knew what that meant. So we talked to him. And the problem solved, right? Or if we wanted somebody moved to our housing unit or something like that. Or we wanted our packages picked up because we were waiting for glauber, which meant controlled substances within the package. We talked to them to go get the package, and they would actually go get it for us, right? Unbeknownst to them, they did not know that there was illicit substances secreted within the cereal boxes or whatever method we were using at that time, right? They would go do it. So, communication with them was necessary. Hold on. I'm enjoying my Voodoo Ranger. So, they take me down this corridor right here. And they take me right over here to medical. This is medical right here. This is the in-house clinic for the facility. They take me there. They take my weight. They take my temperature. And the doctor sees me. And after that, they walk me right over here. But the entire prison is locked down. Oops. We jumped ahead. The entire prison is locked down. They locked down all these units, right? All these units. Nobody's walking at this time. And I tell them, why is the corridors locked down? And they said, well, they don't want anybody to see you going in here. And I'm going into these offices right here. This is the IGI's office right here, right? This is the control center. You got to go past this door and in here. They take me in there, and I meet this little guy by the name of Ernie Madrid. He's a small man. He's about 5'5" on a good day. And he's wearing a little polo tie, beige jeans, beige Levi's, cowboy boots, and a big Bull Riders Association buckle that he won for riding bulls, right? He was a righteous cowboy, captain in the Marine Corps. And he tells me, Rene, I know you got problems. I know you're from the Emmy. And I said, no, I ain't from the Emmy. He had this twang, this country twang, right? And he had this big old chaw in his mouth, right? He was doing dip, Copenhagen, fine cut, and he offered me one. He gave me a dip, and he gave me a cup of coffee, and he asked me to talk to him. So I told him, no, I'm not in any problems. I'm not even from the Emmy, right? In fact, because of him, I'm still dipping today. You know, the guy got me hooked. I loved it. As soon as he gave me a dip, I put it in my mouth, and it burned. It burned, and I loved that burn, right? And we talk back and forth, and he tells me, you know, I'm gonna do something. I'm gonna tip my hand, and he busts out this little recorder. It's a little It's called the Viagra recorder, a little tiny thing. And he plays this audio of me saying, what would you do if I wasn't here anymore? What would you do if I wasn't a boxer? And he turns it off. It's my voice. I recognize it from a visit a couple of weeks ago. Unbeknownst to me, they were recording all my visits. You didn't get phone calls in the shoe, so all they had was visits. So they were recording that, and he says, hey, call me crazy, but you're in trouble, and I know you want out. Let me help you change your life. And I told him, no, you're tripping. In fact, I got scared. My hands started shaking, and I wanted out. I said, no, send me back to my cell, man. I'm cool, man. You're tripping. I'm not in any problems. But the reality was I was. The reality was I was in problems. I was immersed in them. I was neck deep in them. My career was spinning out of control. I had started beefing with Daryl Baca, my best friend, and we were fighting because of Jocko. A lot of people don't know that. I think I just got weak and it just flipped, but it was Jocko. Jocko asked me to do business in the hood, and he says, hey, man, let's do business, me, you, and Night Owl. But everybody has to have money. Otherwise, I don't want to do business, right? So I went and told Daryl Baca, I says, hey, he wants to do business, but if you don't have money, you can't do it. Daryl felt excluded. And he never knew Jocko was behind it. And I had money. Daryl didn't. Daryl was really dependent on me in the beginning. He had no crew. He had nothing, right? But that created conflict with me and Daryl, and we started fighting. We actually started physically fighting in the cell over Jocko. And I never said a word to anybody. I didn't try to clean it up or anything. I just saw where Jocko was at, that he betrayed me, right? He had betrayed me because as soon as we got in the fight, he ran to Daryl and says, it was all Rene. And that's when I knew I had no more friends in the organization. After the fight with Daryl, I came back to the unit, and we quashed it. You know, we quashed it. It's quashed, not squashed, people. Called QUASHED. It means to nullify, to eliminate, right? Not eliminate in the sense we speak, but we fixed the problem, and we agreed to keep it between ourselves. And but I never told him that Jocko was the source of this conflict. And Jocko is the one that wanted to exclude him, because Jocko did want to exclude him. You know, it was my bad for even agreeing with Jocko, because Daryl really was my friend. You know, and Jocko was just a fucking weasel. And that's how it turned out. And that is really the truth. So I betrayed my friend in that business transaction, and it ended my career. A lot of people ask, why? That's why I chose business over friendship. and it ended the real friendship that I had, the last real friendship that I had in the organization. That was with Daryl Bach on Night Owl, and we fought over it, and it really, that was the end of my career. Although I lasted, another year or so, that was really the end of my career. And soon thereafter, I got that visit, and I told the person at the visit, what would you do if I wasn't here anymore, and what would you do if I wasn't Boxer? And they ran that back to me on audio. They had it. They captured it, right? And I tried like the devil to get a hold of this recording, but I couldn't. I think it's still out there. In fact, I talked to Lieutenant Ernie Madrid in the recent past, and he says he has it somewhere. So I'm still trying to get that audio and all that stuff from Pelican Bay back in 2002, which is 24 years old, right? And I can only do what I can do. Like I said, I'm just a dropout with a little bit of juice. I just don't have that much juice to get stuff that's just difficult to get. I just don't, but I'll bring what I can. And during that process, I told him, well, what do I have to do? What is this debriefing thing? And he says, come on out of the cell. He let me out of the cell because they have little holding tanks in the IGI's unit. They have like 2 or 3 holding tanks. And I was sitting in there, and he let me out of there without handcuffs, shook my hand. And like I said, he gave me a cup of coffee, gave me a dip. The first CO to ever treat me like a human being. And his words were sincere. He was a captain in the Marine Corps. He hunted big game, right, with a compound bow. He would go hunting in Alaska, in Montana, and Utah, and he would hunt elk and bear and all this other stuff, right, with just a with a bow. I thought, man, that's crazy, man. That's crazy. But he would land this game. In fact, he would bring me. He brought me elk, venison, salmon, honker, goose, those little gooks, the geese that fly by, and you hear them honking, honk, honk, honk. He brought me some of that, right? And I found it like the taste was odd, very gamey, right? But this guy became my friend. So, and that's the difference in debriefing, right? That's the thing, right? Is that most people use you for information, they extract it, but once in a while you meet a good man and they become something to you more than just the person that's debriefing you. Lieutenant Madrid surely was that to me, right? And Robert Marquez, who also handled my debrief from the IGI at Pelican Bay. He was an IGI at the time, went on to become a Special Services Unit agent for the California Department of Corrections. He's a believer, good friend that wrote me letters for the board. He's a good man, right? So he lets me out of this cell. I digress. I apologize. I'm a few in, but I'm still in control of my mental faculties. So here we go. He pulls me out of the cell without handcuffs and gets me on the phone with Devin Hawks. Devin Hawks, the computer. This guy's an SSU agent, housed in Sacramento, based out of Sacramento, with Brian Perry. And Brian Perry is then the assistant director of the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation. In fact, at the time it was called the CDC, California Department of Corrections. There was no R on the end. And Brian Perry was an old gangster. Like, for a cop, Brian Perry's a gangster. And I recently had dinner with him, by the way. And we had dinner, we had a beer together. He's doing great. I was doing great. We're doing a conference up somewhere in the United States for law enforcement, and I saw him. But he gets me on the phone with these guys, and they're talking about the United States Attorney and immunity and this and that and the other, and I'm on the phone with him. I tell him, well, what does this entail? What does this debrief entail? I tell him, I don't want to do this. And they question the veracity of my sincerity, right? Like, how do we know you're really about this business? You want to do this, right? And we talk, and they asked me, well, are any cops going to get killed? And I said, no. They said, well, next thing we need to know what inmate's going to get killed so we can prevent it right now. And I told them Angel Valencia, and Chino Delgadillo. They're on the hot list, right? And we're trying everything we can to eliminate them, right? And then I realized I'm talking. I said, hey, what? I shouldn't even be telling you this, right? But then I tell them, what if I do this? I says, don't even worry. We've already packed up your stuff. We're going to move you to an isolation unit, which was C12 at the time. That was the debrief unit. Anybody in there was debriefing. And believe me, when you debrief, you debrief. There's no not telling. There's no none of that. If you're a high-level associate, if you're an associate of any worth, if you were even validated, you were debriefing. That means you're going to tell everything. So, I've seen a lot of people say that they don't, but that's their story. That's on them. That's what they say. That's what they say. Maybe that's their experience. I'm not questioning the integrity of those individuals. I truly am not. This is not directed at anybody. So make that clear. Don't send me comments that this is about so-and-so or this is about... It's really not. This is about my debrief at this place right here. This is my experience, and my experience is different from anybody else's experience, right? So let's get that clear. So we go through that process. I start writing this debrief, write a bio, they tell me, and do this and do that. And I start doing it, and I just tell them, like, I don't want to do this no more. After 2 days, they move me. They move me to C12, and these two guys next door to me, one's name's Richie Rich, who's still incarcerated with LWAP, and another guy's next door to me, I forgot his name, but they become my counselors, like, hey, we know how you're feeling, we know you're depressed, and we went through the same thing. Everybody in here is a PC, don't worry about it, you're safe, and they give me like this psychotherapy that was so impactful to me, right? Richie Rich was to my left, so the vent was with him, and I would talk to him like every day, right? He was a good dude, man. In fact, one of the district attorneys is still in communication with him in his case. He might go back for resentencing, which I hope he gets, because he's a really good guy, right? Yep, that was a train behind me. There's a train somewhere off in the distant past near my place. Go figure. So, Richie Rich and this neighbor from Orange County, it was a white guy, both of them white guys. They start counseling me. I go through this process of depression and anger and regret for dropping out. I regretted it. Like every night, in my sleep, I'd wake up and I said, "Why did I do this? Why did you do this? I didn't have to. I could have battled it. Even if Daryl stabbed me or I stabbed him, because me and Daryl were trying to stab each other. He'd hide in the shower and I'd come out and I'd try to go to the shower, and they caught us twice. John Sani, who was a CEO, our gunner, was pretty lenient with us, and he would let us out, and I would try to go up to the shower and meet Daryl, because we called each other out, like, let's do it, bro. Let's do it, man. And he would talk bad stuff to me, and I'd tell him, okay, I'll see you. And we tried it a couple times. In fact, they opened the door one time about this wide, and he handed me a bag. There was nothing in it but trash, but he tried to get the gunner to open the door. He had a razor blade. I had a knife, probably about 6 inches long, and I pulled it out when he asked the gunner, because he just walked up to the front of my cell and he told the gunner, he showed him a bag, and says, hey, can you open the door so I can give him this bag? And the door was open maybe 6 inches, maybe 8 inches max, right? And he has a towel in his hand, like a little wash towel in one hand, and I see he's cupping something like this, and he has the bag in the other, and I reach out and I grab the bag and I threw it to the floor, but I had the knife out already, overhand thrust. I'm going to hit him with overhand thrust, like this. And I put myself in a stance, and he does a little swipe with the razor, and I swing at him with the knife, and he says, why don't you come out? Like, when the door's open. He said, why don't you come out? I said, why don't you come in? Come on in. I'm going to stab your neck all up, right? And I'm no dummy. I'm not going to stick my head out there and get sliced up in the face, So that was one attempt. Another attempt was when he hid in the shower and I tried to go up there and they caught us, right? So we were actually trying to get to each other. So I'm going through these regrets and this depression, and I finally get to a point where in my cell, I'm in this PC unit C12, and I remember what my dad said. He says, "Hey, one day you'll wake up and you'll realize you never have a problem again." And I realized, I woke up, it was a Sunday morning, I put my hands behind my head. I was laying up waiting for the Sunday Grand Slam breakfast, and I realized I don't have to worry about this anymore. I don't. And shortly thereafter, the feds came. Glenn Hotema, Chris Brandon, and Robert Dugdale. Glenn Hotema was from the FBI. He was my very first FBI handler. Chris Brandon was with the majors in LA Sheriff's Department. The same guy that debriefed Perico debriefed me, right? And then the United States Attorney came as well, Robert Dugdale. He's in private practice now. They came and debriefed me with the Assistant Director, Brian Perry, and Lieutenant Ernie Madrid. So right there at Pelican Bay in the BPH room, they brought a dignitary dinner, and they served us dinner there. It's like unheard of, right? Like stuff they did for my debrief was unheard of, right? And I dare say that it would be like special treatment, right? And but it was nothing outlandish, not an inducement. It didn't convince me to cooperate one way or another. I was going to cooperate. I just didn't know I was going to become an expert witness at that point. I just thought I was going to debrief, go to PC, and live my life inside the PC hole somewhere. You know, like most guys do. They disappear into their little PC hole. And I never knew this is what it's going to become. Like today, what I am today. I never had an inkling that was going to happen. So we do that debrief, and they tell me, hey, we're going to fly you down. We're going to come back and pick you up in a plane. We're going to fly you to Los Angeles. We want to debrief you there. Excuse me, as I imbibe again in my Voodoo Ranger. So I say, okay, cool. You know, we shake hands, we part ways. They're taking notes with everything I say. I remembered that. Everything I say, they're taking notes. Glenn Hotema is just like voraciously with a pencil and a paper, right? They have a little steno pad. He has a little steno pad, and he's writing, boom, boom, boom. And Glenn Hotema was a great guy, man. Half Korean, half Japanese. I saw him. I did a presentation for him and his agency in the recent past, and I had the opportunity to see him. And I must say, I appreciate everything he's done for me. Good man, still an FBI agent, so I'm not going to show his image because he's still an active agent. And let's just leave it at that, right? But a great man, appreciate everything he's done. He started this path along with Ernie Madrid and a couple other people, Brian Perry. But they didn't see me as the good guy at that time. They see me as a piece of doo-doo. I'm telling you, like that's who I was, because I still had that arrogancy, that over-the-top, ridiculous arrogance that I had, right? And I felt that I was still special. I was getting, FBI was flying up to see me. The United States Attorney's Office was flying up to see me. And somehow that inflated my stupid sense of importance. And that they were willing to send a plane up to fly me out of there was even more. I was like, oh my God, this is like stuff out of the movies, right? And that's how it first felt. I'm being completely transparent here, right? That's how it felt to me. So it gets to the day where they come get me. And gosh darn it. It gets to the day where they come get me. And they come get me in Lee Baca's private plane. In fact, this individual here, this is Glenn Hotema from the FBI. I'm not going to show his face. And this is Lee Baca's plane right here. It's a turboprop King Air, nice little plane. And we made it to from Crescent City to Pelican Bay in about 80 minutes. That's how fast it hauled. And we land at Long Beach Airport. They take me to a location which is known as Walnut Station. The same place that Perico debriefed, right? They take me right there. It's a little hideaway place where they take cooperators, particularly the feds, and they house me there. They take me in a little van. It looks like a 1970s makeout van, right? It's got a big couch in the back. It's got curtains on the windows. And it belongs to the SSU. Dan Avanella. Dan Avanella was an SSU agent who was there at the time of my transport. Takes me in his blackout van. Glenn Hotema's in the van with me. And I remember as we're passing the Cerritos Mall on the way to the 605 northbound, heading towards the 60 eastbound, Glenn Hotema pulls back the curtain and he shows me a Ferrari. I said, "Oh my God, look at that car. It's so sexy." It was a Ferrari right next to us, right? And I vowed that day that I'm going to drive one. That's my bucket list, to drive a Ferrari. Since that moment in time, it's been in my head, and I will do it, folks, and I will show you video of it. I'm going to drive a Ferrari. I don't want to own one, because I don't got it like that, but I'm going to drive one. So they take me here, and they keep me here for quite a while, right? And I go through multiple debriefs, right? This is one of my handlers, Frankie Flores. Let me show you a clip of that right now, right? This is Frankie Flores from LAPD, robbery homicide. He's in a specialized unit. He handles like high-profile murders. In fact, he handled Pop Smoke and a couple of other high-profile murders. This is the guy who's really become a brother, right? I can't say anything better than that, than say that Frankie is my brother, Frank Flores, right? And I'm going to show you how we interacted, because at first it was like, much like you see in the video with Perico. That's how my debrief went, right? You're going to see that right now. It's really clinical. It's dry. They're asking you questions, and you respond to them, and that's how a debrief goes. But once you develop these rapports and these relationships with individuals such as Frankie and Francis Hardiman and Adam Gergel, these guys become your brothers, right? Because they believe in what you're doing. They have a greater vision than just extracting information from you. So this is me and Frankie Flores right here. In fact, you're going to see a little clip of Al Valdez. He came at me with the opportunity to teach at UC Irvine. He developed a course there, and I wrote part of the curriculum and did online interviews and lectures for UC Irvine. I also wrote the study guide for a course called Prison Gangs that's still in publication with Police and Fire Publishing. Those are my first attempt at writing. But this was that endeavor. But during this process, Frankie was introducing me to various police agencies, and I was debriefing for each agency. So it's not one debrief, it's multiple debriefs. Here we go. Here's Frankie Flores. Okay, Frank just came into the room. He was right outside the door. He was loading something onto my computer there for work, video editing software. We're actually preparing for a presentation in February for CCGI, and we have 9 this year scheduled so far. So we got 2 computers going here at our little workstation. This is the hub of activity here. I mean, this is where we work. See, there's the fuel that drives us. Coffee. With that said, you saw coffee, buy the team a cup of coffee. And you saw dip there. That was my dip. I was allowed to dip. They would give me dip. I would give them money. They would go purchase the dip. It wasn't an inducement. It wasn't something like, here you go. Here's these things. Here's these goodies. Keep cooperating. It wasn't like that. So this was a brief meeting with Frankie Flores. And then there's another one. This is both. That's Jeff Bosket and that's Francis Hardiman. Okay, so this is Francis Hardiman, and we're blurring his face or obscuring his face somehow. The editor's going to handle this. And this is Jeff Bosket, who later became one of my handlers, right, from the Sheriff's Department. He was on the HIDA task force, Group 53, I believe. HIDA stands for High Intensity Drug Trafficking Area Task Force, right? Group 52. And Francis Hardiman at that time was on loan to Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department Majors Bureau. And they invested all prison crime stuff. And note the room. Look at the room. This is the same room and the same desk that Perico sat at and debriefed with the same individual, Francis Hardiman. You'll notice his voice. I want you to take note of his voice, because This is where all debriefs take place when it comes down for the sheriffs. Most of the time. I'm not going to say all of them because there are exceptions to the rule. And this is the big leagues here, folks. This is how it happens. And it doesn't happen just one time. There's not just one debrief. There are multiple debriefs. When you begin cooperating with law enforcement, you see multiple agencies, multiple agents, multiple task force officers. Jeff Bosket is a DEA, HIDA task force member. He's dual credential with the DEA and sheriffs. Francis Hardiman is just a working cop. He's not part of any task force. He was a guy that was working court line and started finding kites and learned the Mexican Mafia. In fact, the brightest guy I've ever met in terms of the Mexican Mafia in prosecution, the most successful prosecutions I've ever met, the brightest guy. He struck me as a Poindexter when I first met him. Like, who is this guy? Right? And he just impressed me so much with the breadth and width of his knowledge about the organization. I mean, he breathed it. He lived it. He was a cop, but he understood it. And there's very few individuals that have that type of passion for investigating the organization. And when they come along, it's such a shame when they have to transition out of those units because those units lose such an asset, right? And Francis Hardiman was an asset. He came along when essentially Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department was dormant in prosecutions and investigations of the Mexican Mafia, and he is the one that kicked it all off again. Here's a video of us in this room, and I have a camera. Yeah, it's like that. I had a camera, a laptop, and I used to record my daily activities, and this is one of them.
Just ignore him.
No, I'm not going to ignore Francis. You ignore Francis. Say something, Francis. Look at the glare. See, I'm a very intelligent individual.
Yeah. That actually reminds me of a funny story.
We're here working with Francis. This is Francis Hardiman from the Sheriff's Department. One of the guys that actually has brought me quite a bit of cases. He's a workhorse, and I love him for it. So I'm going to take a picture with him right now. But I wanted to catch us on video working here. This is us.
You gonna sell that to the mafia hitmen that are gonna come look for me? Is that what's going on?
See, did you hear that? That's Francis singing.
This is him.
that's Francis. That's the guy getting you right there. Get him. Get
Yeah.
it. And that's obviously Jeff right there. Old Jeffo. And we're working. I'm doing my work here. We don't want to see those pictures on there?
We do not.
We do not. All right. So we'll take a still right now.
All right.
So that's us working, right? That's Francis Hardiman. This is in the debrief room where Perico Rocha, the same guy, Periquito, has done this whole series of interviews, right? This is the same room, right? And this is where it happens, folks. This is where the magic happens. Debriefs are real. And a lot of people they don't believe that debriefs go in this depth. They do. They really do. They actually dissect your life. And they want it known because here's the truth, right? If you don't vomit it up during the debrief, defense attorneys will attack you on the stand when you're on the stand in cross-examination, right? So it's necessary for your case agents, your handlers, to extract it from you, and they want all the warts. They want everything. They want your very worst. Put it on the table because we're getting ready to investigate somebody and indict them, and you're going to go on the stand, and we need to know this beforehand. We need to preempt this, right? We need to put it out there before they put it out there. So that's the reason for the debriefs. Get it? Do you get it? Do you get it, folks? That's the real reason for debriefs. Of course, it's intelligence, and there's a variety of other reasons. For those people who are high-value targets like me, and high-level associates, and validated inmates, they have to put it all out there, right? This is another group of individuals. This is El Monte Police Department when I was working with Operation Black Flower. Right? I was working Operation Black Flower. It had just come to fruition, and that's Adam Gergel on the left and Lieutenant Marty Penny on the right. Marty Penny retired soon thereafter. I still maintain contact with both of these gentlemen. They are my brothers, and I love them dearly. This is them, and we're arranging for a presentation for their department, right? They would take me from this station and transport me to these locations where I'd put on these presentations, much with Frankie Flores, and I would educate law enforcement about the real threat of the Mexican Mafia in their community. So these are two individuals I work with. And in fact, I debrief for them. So here we go. I'm going to run this video clip real quick.
Two together. Give that to Dave. You're on video right now.
That pissed him off.
That's Adam. So you can introduce yourself.
Adam Gergel, detective with the Almani Police Department.
No?
I refuse. No
Respect.
That's Lieutenant Marty Penny right there.
No respect.
No respect. I'm shy on camera.
Well, I'm meeting with these gentlemen.
Go ahead.
Let me go sit over here so I can get ourselves in there. This is the back of Diamond Bar Station.
I already got it.
And me and Adam are going to be doing a training session at El Monte PD with his officers and about maybe 150 guys from his department and neighboring units. This guy's taking pictures of us right here. That's,
No,
he's gonna post that somewhere.
This one's priceless, man. you don't.
I'm taking a picture of you. You're taking a picture of me.
You realize how much this is probably worth to him just to screw around. Oh shit! Hey, when I start looking like that, put me to sleep.
So, see my Camel non-filters? I used to smoke Camel non-filters. We used to call them humps, right? And I used to smoke those. That's my pack of cigarettes. Remember Perico said that let's go outside to have a cigarette. They would take you outside to have a cigarette. This is where they would take you. Adjacent to this area right here is a preschool and a shopping center. And it's been years since I've been by there, but I remember an In-N-Out across the street, and they would bring me food from there. And there's a couple other shopping centers around there. But I would smoke cigarettes back there and listen to the children play, and it was just so touching to me. It would put a lump in my throat, and I thought to myself at the time, am I ever going to be able to play with my grandchildren? Am I ever going to be able to hold a child in my arms again? And I would hear them cry and laugh and scream, and that's what Perico used to experience. Everybody in Walnut Diamond Bar Station, this is it. This is where they go. So I want to show you this experience that Perico had, I had years before him. So this is a process that is tried and tested, and it's proven to have vetted out those people who profess stuff that's not true, right? Because it's called independent cooperation. When you say something, they either know about it or they have other individuals who know about it and they'll corroborate what you're saying, right? And that's that. So there's multiple individuals you debrief for. It's a long process. Years-long process. I didn't get finished with this debrief for a couple of years, right? But this is the actual debrief, right? And again, like I said, somebody tried to take this and copyright it, right? By embedding music into the various spaces, right? And how dare they attempt to pull some snake weaselly move like that, right? So we have an editor who's just such a genius and was able to circumvent that. And this is my debrief that I created along with Lieutenant Ernie Madrid that we're going to run for you right now. Remember, this is, you can say the date and all that stuff, but this is my original CDC debrief. And I wanted you guys to see it because I've shown everybody else's. And again, I said earlier, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. And I want you to see my debrief. We'll go along. We'll unpack this as we go. So I've rambled on long enough. I've warmed you guys up enough. So here we go. Let's hear the freaking debrief, right? And I'm talking, Rene. Here we go, folks. My debrief. The original, primary debrief of Rene Enriquez, former Mexican Mafia member. We are running it now.
I'm Lieutenant Madrid. I'm with the California Department of Corrections. And I'm here with inmate Rene Enriquez to do a videotaped interview. Rene, would you introduce yourself for the camera?
My name is Rene Enriquez. My CDC number is 869-471. I have been involved in organized crime for
So, look at how thin I am. Look at how young I look. Look at how viral I am. I dare say that I'm a fat old man now with way less hair and way more pounds. and my look is completely different. And for those folks who saying, because I get this every once in a while in the comments, like, your face is showing. Why do you cover your face? Because my appearance has changed, right? For whatever process, my appearance is different. I am not going to show you my current image because I no longer look the same. So if you see video of my image, it's because it was taped 10, 15 years ago. This was taped in 2002, 24 years ago. So here we go.
20 years, and I've been a Mexican Mafia member for over 17 years.
Okay. Renee, that's why I'm here today. I want to ask you some questions about the Mexican Mafia. And these questions I'd like you to just answer to your knowledge of the Mexican Mafia. If you don't know, just say you have no knowledge, or go ahead and elaborate on the knowledge that you do have on these questions. Rene, could you tell me what the structure of the Mexican Mafia is?
The structure of the Mexican Mafia is comprised of three components. The members. There are about 100 members in the United States, including the federal prisons, Arizona state prisons, California state prisons, and members in society. It's a small group, but it's very powerful. The members believe in a contractionary philosophy. Fewer members, bigger pieces of the pie. That's why there's so few numbers. There are also type activities. It can also encompass individuals that come into 20 years, and I've been a...
You'll see those places in the video where it just jumps and goes off topic. These are the places that the weasel, whoever he was, attempted to embed audio or music tracks that can't be heard to copyright my own work. Get that. My own work is being copyrighted by some weasel on YouTube. So we just cut those out, right? And we made it a point to post this because I'll be damned if I'll let somebody do that and get away with it, right? I mean, I'm sure we could contest that, but why fight, right? For 5 minutes of embedded video, right? Embedded audio. So if you see that, know that this is a section that my editor extracted because somebody had previously copyrighted this specific portion of the video in an attempt to prevent anybody from using the video in its entirety. But believe you me, this is my video, and I participated in this video with the understanding that I would share in the intellectual properties of this video with Lieutenant Ernie Madrid. So here we have it. Lieutenant Ernie Madrid and I participating in my initial debrief. I would not get in front of a camera unless we had certain agreements in place, and we did establish those agreements. Unfortunately, this video was leaked to somebody who was unscrupulous and opportunistic who attempted to copyright it. So you'll see little snippets that are skipping ahead, so let's go on from there.
Prison from Southern California, they're considered sureños as well. Well, those are the three components of the organization.
So a sureño is a Mexican from Southern California.
He doesn't specifically have to be a Mexican. He can be Hispanic, white, any ethnicity. In reality, it's anybody who claims Southern California is considered a sureño to the Mexican Mafia.
So as long as they identify with the Mexican Mafia.
This is gang subculture. As long as they identify, then they don't even have to be gang members. As long as they're from Southern California in the prison system, they align themselves with the Southern California car. It's what they call a car, or a group or clique. It's a very broad term. You have to understand that. It's a very broad. Sureño is a very broad term, and there's a clear differentiation between sureño and camarada. Camaradas are high-ranking friends of the organization, people that do hits, and sureños are just people from Southern California. But they fall under the dominion and dictation of the Mexican Mafia. But the interpretation of what a sureño is pretty broad, so you have to understand that. It'd be pretty difficult to really define with exactitude the definition of a sureño.
Okay. Okay, we'll call them Sureños. These are Hispanics from Southern California or other races that identify with the Mexican Mafia that come into state prison.
Or under the influence of the Mexican
Or under the influence of Mexican Mafia. My question is can a Sureño come into prison and say, I just want to do my own time, I want to follow the rules of the California Department of Corrections, and I don't want you guys messing with me. I just want to go by the rules and do my time the way I should.
Not in our world. Not in the California Department of Corrections, and not in any facility or state prison in Arizona or the federal institutions, which the Mexican Mafia has influence. In California, the Mexican Mafia has almost complete influence in every aspect of these institutions, even the lower level institutions. So for an individual to come into the Department of Corrections and say, I don't want to participate with you guys, and I want to follow the rules, he would be targeted for assault. This would be possible if an individual was housed in a sensitive needs yard or a PC yard. It might be possible to some degree in a lower level institution like a level 1 fire camp where there is no influence of the Mexican Mafia, but even that is difficult because the Mexican Mafia has almost complete infiltration of the California Department of Corrections.
Okay, so pretty much Mexican Mafia is going to have control over any prison.
Let me add a caveat to that. There are individuals who program and do not participate in Mexican Mafia activities, right? They have non-designated housing programs where individuals are Christians. Because if you claim to be a Christian, the Mexican Mafia doesn't expect anything from you, right? But you have to be real about it, right? Because if you're fake, if you're slamming dope, while you go to the cell after services, they're going to see that and they ain't going to know it, right? They're going to call upon you. But they don't bother Christians. And now with the non-designated housing program, it's a little different. Rules have changed. Remember, this was 24 years ago. And this was the mentality back then in the organization. Like if you're on a main line and you're a Sureño and it jumps, you better jump, right? And that's still the expectation. Even of residents and Cristianos, if the Mexicans rock against a different race, then they expect participation because that's really what it is. It's Mexicans against everybody else. Sureño Mexicans and the Mexican Mafia, right? They demand participation, and there's no way around that. I'm not really certain if that applies to Cristianos today, Christians, people who are believers in the Lord, right? I'm not sure if that imposition is placed upon them today. There could be a different rule change. And I'll say this straight out, right? There's some things I just don't know. And I don't want to profess to know these things if they're not really true. You know, I want to be as accurate and as clear and concise as possible when making these videos because, you know, it's not about glorification of this lifestyle or the debrief or anything. It's just about showing an alternative life. And that's really the objective of showing all these videos and these calls and these surveillance tapes. It's about showing individuals who are in the game now, who are considering getting into it, that there is an alternative life. That this was me 24 years ago. I never thought I would get out of prison. And the possibility of being free is real. Because I can get out of prison. And Chino Delgadillo can get out of prison. And Gabby from Flores can get out of prison. And Muskie from Flores can get out of prison. And Roy Boy from San Diego can get out of prison. And all these brothers, Chino Delgadillo, all these other guys that got out of prison, that were carnales, then you can get out of prison too. This isn't what it's cracked up to be. That's what this really is about. You don't have to go this route. You don't have to agree to testify, become an expert witness, and do social media and write books. You don't have to do that. But there is an alternative. There is peace on the other side of violence, right? And that's the real message in this. And I hope somebody somewhere, somehow, gets this and it resonates with them. That they say, you know what, Rene's right. I don't have to do this anymore. I don't have to put up this facade this fake image of who I am, this gangster, and toe the line. Because you don't have to toe the line. You can make the simple decision like that and leave. And you know what? In the final analysis, the people that are going to call you PC rat, all that stuff, don't really matter. They don't. Because what really matters is your family, those people that you love, and your freedom. And you can achieve that. If I could achieve it, that's me doing 3 life sentences and 1 life without. If I can get out today, and you can get out tomorrow, let's continue with the debrief.
That comes into the correction system.
Some degree or some influence.
Okay. And if they don't go along with it, they'll be targeted for assault
Or murder.
or murder?
Or murder.
Okay.
Well, the objective is to assault with the intent to murder them. They don't go with the intent to scratch them or to scare them. If an individual, in the ideal concept of the Mexican Mafia is when you assault an individual, you murder them. Because assaulting him is ruining their career in prison. You're ruining their resume because you're assaulting them. They're being assaulted by the Mexican Mafia, and they'll be marred from then on. I think these contemporary applications, though, they have such terms as regulation, south-siding, which are beatings in a disciplinary fashion. But the true objective for my era was to kill them.
If you assault somebody, you try to kill them.
Exactly.
Okay. Okay, so far you've said the structure of the Mexican Mafia is comprised of the members, the camaradas, and the serenos. Federal faction, the members that are in federal prison, and the serenos in federal prison and in Arizona
Yes.
prison.
The federal prison encompasses individuals from different states as well. It doesn't just encompass people from Southern California. They take everybody into the fold. Individuals from different states. They're a close-knit group, and they're pretty well organized with a commission for the Mexican Mafia, which dictates all activities and objectives.
Okay. Now, through my investigations, I'm aware that Mexican Mafia members have crews. Could you explain the structure of these crews?
The crews are, everybody follows a basic template for a crew, a basic format, and that would be with the member, the main member of the Mexican Mafia being the leader, the figurehead. He communicates solely with an individual who visits him, which would usually be a trusted family member or individual. It doesn't have to be a family member. Somebody he trusts that visits him that's able to communicate the activities of the crew. And this is the chain of command and chain of communication as well. So it's the main member, the individual he trusts to visit him, and then it would be the crew chief. The crew chief.
Let me stop that right there. This is where women came into the fold, senoras. Because it was usually wives, girlfriends, or family members that would conduct these visits, participate in them, and carry out the messages from Pelican Bay to the streets. This is where it started going awry, right? Remember, 24 years ago, Mexican Mafia in complete isolation, Pelican Bay State Prison, the most secure prison in the United States, utilizing women and visitors to relay messages. This is where it started going awry. This is where the Sky Virgins and the Edgars, the rise of the Edgars. This is where they came from, right? They came from this system that was solely dependent upon outside sources to become a conduit for Mexican Mafia communication. And it's always been that way, right? Now, Mexican Mafia members are in the general population, communicating with cell phones. They have instantaneous communication and smart communications. A lot of this has been eliminated. But still, we still got Sky Virgin. We still got a couple other people that are still functioning at this level. But this was the system back then.
He communicates with the wife and the family member that visits the Mexican Mafia member. He is the ultimate authority in terms of creating the crew, making the money, issuing orders or administering discipline within the crew, murders, effectuating, anything that needs to be done. This is pretty much your general manager, your crew chief. And then you go down to crew leaders. The crew leaders are the individuals that run specific crews in different turfs. You have a multitude of these individuals, and below them are the earners. And these extend all the way to the individuals on the street corners selling dime bags or extorting drug connections or extorting businesses. So it's pretty expansive and it's pretty complex. You have to understand that there's a multitude of networks and highly reticulated structure within the crew. So it's almost impossible for one individual to say that he understands the complexity of his crew, because it amounts into the hundreds of individuals when you have a large crew and a well-structured crew.
Okay, so when a member has a crew, you brought up a trusted family member, I think you said.
Yes.
So this person handles, this is the entrusted person by the member who carries messages, who collects their money, gives orders to the crew chief.
Yes.
Okay, and this could be a wife or a girlfriend or a brother or a friend. What is that? Somebody that the member trusts?
It's somebody that the individual, the Mexican Mafia member, trusts without reservation or hesitation. This is an individual that he issues murder orders to, assault orders, who has his money. Usually it's a wife. Usually it's a wife or girlfriend. Because he'll know where his money's at, exactly what's happening with his money. And you have to entrust these individuals with large amounts of money. And oftentimes the wives are more powerful than the Mexican Mafia members or the crew chiefs. They have ultimate authority, and oftentimes these women become power crazy. I've seen it over and over. These women are ordering murders, issuing assaults, having people extorted on a regular basis. I believe that if you sat back and listened to tapes emerging from Pelican Bay Visiting Room, you'd detect quite a bit of this activity occurring every weekend.
Okay. So the crews, when you talk about they're made up of earners and crew chiefs and crew leaders, these are Sureños also?
They are.
Okay. They're just not in prison.
They don't have to be in prison to be a Sureño. You don't have to come to prison to be a Sureño. You just have to be from Southern California. But they are Sureños as well.
So there you have it, folks. We have the first segment of my official debrief, my initial debrief. And you hear an individual from the CDC who handles the initial debrief, right? If you're incarcerated, CDC handles it first. And then they contact law enforcement from a variety of different agencies and say, they contact these individuals from these agencies and say, we have Rene Enriquez who's debriefing, and we think you'd be interested in what he has to say. And then a variety of different agencies come to visit you and, again, replicate the same process. But no, same room, Perico Rocha, same room. I remember the rips in the wall and the dents in the wall. In fact, there's one dent in the image of Ralph Rocha's video that I remember specifically. So this is the same room. All the debriefs happen here. When they're high-level debriefs, they bring them down to Walnut Station, Diamond Bar, and this is where the magic happens. I look at this right here and see how much hair I had, how slim I was, how muscular I was, and I dare say that I am not the same guy that I once was. I get it. I'm getting old. I'm just a little fat old man now, and I'm happy with that. But again, folks, I brought everybody's debrief to light on my channel. I thought it was only fair to bring mine to light on this channel. So that will conclude this segment of this video. We're probably gonna have 3 or 4 more segments of this debrief, and I hope you hang with every one of them, because I'm gonna break them down in minutia and break down my thought process. And again, remember, I was very arrogant right here. I was still the guy who thought he was special. I thought that I was receiving special treatment. I wasn't. They were just trying to extract information from me. And I'm so happy that I'm not that guy anymore. I am so happy that I'm just a fat, balding old man now. Honestly, I am. I think that everybody has 20/20 vision and hindsight, and I see this in retrospect that I despise the man that I once was, and I never want to be that guy again. You know, I am happy with who I am today, and I hope you guys are. You know, this isn't a facade. I don't put up airs, and I don't fake it, and I'm not a tough guy anymore. That was all fake. That really was fake. And I understand that today it was a facade. You know, I was just trying to be accepted. I think that's really the gist of it, right? We seek out this acceptance from peer groups, and we go to extremes to be accepted. And I think that's really the core of social dynamics, right? But with that said, I hope you enjoyed this video. Again, 24 years ago. It's a VHS recorder, and there you have it, folks. We have a few more segments coming up. I hope you enjoy it. Again, let me check the timestamp here. It is at about 10 minutes, and we have another hour to go, or another hour and a half to go. So, because of the preamble and all the other talking that I did, I'm going to cut this short here. Let me know what you think, folks. If you enjoy this type of stuff, I'll continue it. If you don't like it, say, hey, no more Rene Debrief, and I will cut it out. That is guaranteed. If you guys don't like it, I will not put it up. That's it. That's all, and that's done. All right, folks. Be sure to hit the thumbs up, leave a comment, and hype this video, folks. This is a Monday video. This is an all-important video. This creates the flow for our entire week. So, with that said, hype, hype, hype. Peace out, folks. Have a great Monday. Peace.
This is Rene Enriquez. Nickname Bootser.